Great.
All right, welcome everybody. Nicole Harding, Vice President of CCA Global University, is here with us to discuss the topic you see on the screen. Nicole is a senior executive with over 20 years of experience leading the learning and development initiatives for major national retailers, including The Gap, Toys R Us, and the Vitamins Shop. Her passion for taking on new challenges and building high-performance, diverse teams led her to her current role at CCA Global Partners, one of the largest purchasing cooperatives in the retail space, with more than 2,800 locations in North America. As VP of CCA Global University, Nicole leads the learning and development for the employees and retail members of CCA. She is focused on empowering employees to learn and fill skill gaps to build their careers. She is inspired by transforming the professional lives of individuals and thereby transforming her organization through fostering authentic connections and facilitating strategic and innovative learning plans. Excellent stuff. Nicole, without further ado, I'll hand you the screen.
Oh, thank you, Chris, and thanks for having me back. And that is certainly a mouthful. I think what people should really know about me is that I've been in retail my whole entire life, and that learning is my passion. And so helping people grow their careers in this crazy space of retail, and in particular topic of floor covering has been a real joy for me. I'm going to really talk about what we're doing with this installation crisis that everyone is talking about at CCA Global Partners. Our organization, we are a cooperative, and we support over 2,000 small family businesses in the floor covering industry. And we provide an opportunity for them to get services at scale. We're one of the largest buying cooperatives in the world, and we really like to take care of our members. And so I want to just spend some time telling you what our approach is to the installation crisis, and what we're doing, what we're going to be doing. And then certainly, if there is a call of action for what people should do next. And so I hope that people will use the chat and put any questions that they have in there. Chris, if you can help me again, if you see anything in there that I should know, feel free to jump in.
Just going to point out that we can see your notes like we could last time. Are you able to go
Oh, hang on. I'm not sure why you can just see that. Let me, hold please. Let me figure that out really quick. I'm not sure what the reason for that is. And I'm not seeing them on my screen, Chris. So give me 1 second.
Then if it's not a simple fix, just carry on.
Okay, no worries. I'm going to keep going. Not sure what you're seeing, but I'll continue. I'm going to start here with the knowing doing gap. I'm not sure if anybody's ever heard of that. If you have, throw it in the chat and let me know what your experience was. I certainly would love to hear that. This is actually a real phenomenon that people have studied, and it is the gap between what you should be doing and what you actually do. And Chris, I use this particular information around, I always use my diet as an example around knowing, that I need to move more and reduce my calories. And then of course, not doing any of that. And when it comes to the installation crisis, I do think there's a gap between everyone knowing that there's a huge crisis, and then of course, what are they willing to do? What action, or what are they waiting on? How long will it take for folks to get connected to actually putting a plan in place and having some action? And I am going to lay out what we're doing, what we're thinking about. And then I'm hoping that after this conversation, it can help you really kind of think about what you might be willing to do as well. We know that there's almost 10,000 openings for flooring installers and tile and stone setters each year. And that's projected each year on average for the next 10 years. So those are not going away. part of my job is to help people with hiring and help people find the right people, and in all areas of our workforce. So sales professionals, sales managers, warehouse managers, and then of course installers. And as the pool gets smaller, it's harder and harder to grab really skilled people. And through COVID here in the United States, especially, we found that the jobs were backed up so far that it was really, really difficult to get quality folks. And it could be 6 to 8 weeks out before we could actually get jobs. So even get jobs finished. So even if we were increasing our sales, we really had a bottleneck, because that was a great on the front end, but the back end was becoming more and more difficult. We just could not get those jobs done. And then you want to do them well so that you don't have any claims or any issues or problems. So you want to make sure that the people who are going to finish those jobs are really qualified and well equipped. So a lot of times you would think, well, we should have our people who are really, really great train our younger, newer folks. And the fact is that when those jobs are backed up, our senior installers or our master installers, usually they're not interested in teaching, because there's a lot of money to be made in actually finishing up and doing those jobs. And so knowing that, we think about what are the average wages. And I would ask everyone right now, if you could pop into the chat for me, are you familiar with what the average wages are in your area for installers? So have you done any kind of comparison? Have you shopped the comparison? Have you looked around and seen, what was what? Put that in the chat right now for me, if you don't mind. And Chris, if you can see what that's saying, let me know. We have anything in the chat?
Yeah.
So we have lots of quiet people in the chat.
I'll start the landslide off.
Chris, have you done any work in this space? How much are people paying?
Not really. Just my own personal experience back in when I was installing. Just
Okay.
send you a little message here.
Brad says yes, he has. Oh, listen to, so look at, I love this. Julian says a ceramic installer in my area can make up to 150,000 per year. Chris says $100.50, excuse me, per square foot for laminate. This is a great exercise. I love this. You have to know. You don't know if you're competitive or not if you don't know the answer. I have Julian saying carpet and vinyl can easily make 80 to 100,000 per year. So when you're thinking about what is possible, the first thing to know is what is the competition paying? What are you paying? Have you changed the way you pay your installers, your teams over the last 5 years? Do you have a plan of compensation strategy for the next 3 to 5 years? And how are you communicating that to your installation crews? This is critical. I just pulled these national stats up for first 5-year installer. So this is like your not particularly skilled person. This is a person who is new to the game and who's just getting started. You're looking at about $48,000 to $50,000 a year, somewhere in the $23 per hour mark. Not terrible, not great, but you got to know. You have to know to have a conversation. One of the things I'm finding is that many people that I'm coaching, they're just not familiar at all with what the amounts are. And they're not having conversations around what you might make today, what you might make in 6 months, what you might make next year. And so this is really a critical part, and this is a part of our strategy. So let me just keep on going. Thanks for that participation. I do appreciate it. And this is in our approach. We really are thinking about building the future. We want to talk about recruiting folks. Where do we find them? Are we using some non-traditional ways to recruit people? How do we connect to untapped audiences in high schools and in trade schools? How do we get them before they start thinking about other jobs and other trades? Because we can certainly lose out to some of the different trades. A lot of, I would say, plumbing and electricians, they've done a really great job of marketing, and that has helped them when you're already recruiting from a smaller pool of students who aren't going to the university. So now you finally have your audience, and then the plumbing and the electrician areas, they have been doing a really good job of talking about how you can make a good living. And so we want to change that conversation. And what we do is we give our members all the tools that they need to go out and get that information. And so this is something I want to strongly encourage all of you to go to these spaces equipped with data and equipped with really good language to speak to your youth and your young people and the next generation, to give them a conversation that's going to interest them and excite them and not bore them and turn them away. We look at our installers and talk about, what kind of in-house programming do you have? What kind of partnering and mentoring program? Educate them on how to go from being an installer to then maybe owning their own crew, or how do they expand their skills so that they can increase their pay. And then for our membership, we really look at this installation problem as being our number one or number two problem that people cite as, most worrisome. And so we're always constantly attacking that. And then we also know that our vendors are hugely important with the kind of partnership that we're making. And, as they are improving their product and getting all kind of technology and really making their product easy and different and innovative, are they explaining how to install with all of those different changes? So are they helping us to keep installers current? And we go out to our vendor community and we partner with them to make sure that they're helping us in that engagement. And so then we look at this sphere here around how do we really own our expertise? How are we going to educate people? How do we get them the support they need in the moment? And we do a variety of things. We're actually recruiting installers locally. Part of my team does recruiting for all of our members as a service. And we know that finding great people is really difficult. But installers are not in those locations. They're not at college fairs. They're not on LinkedIn largely. They're just not in those traditional places that our recruiters would go out and find people. So we have a special team of experts who go into the local communities and go non-traditional routes to actually find installers. And that has been really working out very well for our membership. Are there any real exciting ideas that some of you may have done to find installers if you've had a shortage? If you're doing something clever, or if you've done something that's really worked, drop that in the chat for me. And while I'm looking at the chat, I see Julian added unskilled helpers, that's their starting wage. Absolutely. But as they progress, they could easily expect to double that. And Julian, you're absolutely right. One of the things that we do is when we're speaking in schools and in technical centers, community colleges, we are talking to this audience about future, about potential earnings, about how to make a career. we are talking to this audience and maybe bringing a member who started out as an installer and now they own their own retail location, and really showing the progression, which is an exciting story for a young person to understand that this is where you start, but these are all of the other avenues that you might have. And it is our responsibility to share that information with this audience so that we can bring them in and they can be really excited about doing the work. One of the things is you don't want to invest in these younger people, bring them into the business, and then they're turned off and they exit, because all of that investment is then wasted. You want to make sure that not only do you excite them and bring them in, but that you follow through with training and education so that they stay with you and they grow with you. And we're going to just keep moving on here. And so I'm excited to talk to you about our installation excellence. This is our programming, it's multi-pronged approach to all of these problems. And what I'm going to go through with you right now are just some of the things that we're doing with our membership. And we've been doing them for years. We're constantly tweaking and updating and providing these services. And over the last 9 months, it's just really been exploding. And so I'm going to just share some of that. If you have any questions about what I'm sharing, please do put it in the chat for me, and I will do a check-in periodically. So let me just keep moving along here. The big two offerings are our 1-day seaming class and our 2-day pattern class. So these are like you know your basics, but this is like how to really hone your skills. So we offer a lot of classes and a lot of different offerings, but these two classes are our bread and butter. These are the ones that are asked for all the time. And we are actually bringing these classes right to our members. So our members request these classes. We have them in their warehouse. They set up. They invite other people who might be local. Maybe they have 3 or 4 installers. Maybe someone who's very close by has 5 or 6, and all together they bundle into one big group, and our master trainer goes to their location and does this training. Now, many of you may have listened in earlier where the FCEF was on, and one of the things I'm really excited about is that a lot of our offerings with our master trainer qualify for scholarship funds through that program. So we know that there are going to be many ways to improve this installation crisis, and one of them is by working with each other. And that's what we do. We work with other training entities as well, like CFI, the Hardwood Association, and of course FCEF. And then we're seeing a tremendous amount of success by going right to our members' location and getting these done. And what's really great about this is we customize. So we can do an intake survey and understand what is the skill level of your current team. And then we'll match the training so that we are taking into account what the current situation is. Are these people who are really seasoned and we want to help them with what's new and different? Are these people who are just starting out and we want to really show them some skills that will help them reduce claims or have a cleaner finish? Whatever the situation is, we're customizing, and we're finding that that is really resonating with our membership. And you can see the pictures here. I just love these pictures because our training is hands-on, on the floor with the product that you're using. You can see, who's doing what, how it's working. And when it comes to investment, this, I can't stress enough, having the session in your location where you can, as the owner of the business, or if you have a sales manager or even some of your other staff who can see what exactly goes into putting this beautiful product in place, this is where you can also see how is that installer working during the training session? How invested are they? So as you're making this investment, this can help you determine, should you make future investments. And so you can kind of get a little bit the picture here. And this is one of our seaming classes, I do believe. All right, keep on going. We are using Robert Varden. He's very well known in the industry, and he's our partner. His AFT, Advanced Flooring Technology. And in addition to those two classes, which I said were like our bread and butter, we have implemented a 3-phase installer course for your basics. And one of the things we heard loud and clear from our membership is that, Nicole, I can't have somebody out of my business for 6 weeks. 6 weeks is a lot. They have to go somewhere. They have to be in a hotel. You have to pay for food and housing. And those are jobs for 6 weeks that the person is not able to help you with. So we've broken that 6-week program up into 3 2-week programs. This has been going really, really well. And it also allows you to check in on how that person is doing, because after the 2 weeks, they come back. You can see, are they putting those new skills to use? And then they work for 3-4 months. You see how your investment is going, and then they're ready for another one of those 2-week sessions so that they can enhance those skills and go to the next level. This has been working out really, really well. We're excited about this, and we are now 8 months into this particular program. And I mentioned earlier the vendor spotlight. We are using vendors. We're bringing vendors right into our studio here in Manchester, New Hampshire. Our university has a studio on site. And so as different vendors are bringing out new product, or there's new techniques to install their product, who better to share those skills than the vendors themselves? And so here you can just see where some of those vendors have come in to our location, and we're shooting videos. We are doing short, less than 5-minute videos that can be played on your phone or your iPad, so that wherever you may be meeting with your installers, these are places where you can catch them. We are hearing loud and clear that people do not have the appetite for hours-long videos, long reading passages. They want short, hard-hitting bits of information that really resonates with them and that they can go put into action right away. Then we can see how well they do, give them feedback, let them practice, and then they're ready for another hard-hitting bit of information that they can then expand on and just layer and layer and layer as they grow their skills. We really love this vendor spotlight, and we're always very appreciative of all of those vendors that come in and help us out. For folks who are on the line, I keep asking for chat information, so we'll see if anybody jumps in. But is there anyone out there who's on this WebEx? I see many names, but I don't see many faces. But are you working with vendors in any way around how they should be, how installers should be installing their product? So if you are, please do throw that in the chat. And Chris, I'm hoping you will help me if you see anything in there. And in the meantime, I'll just continue on.
Yeah, I'll let you know.
Okay, great. I want to do a member spotlight, and this is our very own Dean Kelly of Carpetbaggers. And the reason I'm spotlighting this particular member, they had one of the largest sessions in this particular day in North Carolina. It was, I do believe, 100 degrees. And so it's a very hot day, and they had a very successful training. And one of the things that Dean did, he brought in his sales manager, he brought in his vendor partners, of course, too. They were very generous in their donations, but they also were able to audit the session. This is really important, like how involved you are as the leader of the business. to really get connected with the installers, to be part of that group, to listen to, what they're learning, what they need, how well they are executing the skills that are being taught, and really be thankful and show them value. And Dean did a particularly great job of this. I'm really proud of the work he's done there. But I always tell people, and I'm going to share with you, this is an opportunity not only to educate your installation crews, but to re-recruit them. This is what's really making you a differentiator between you and your competition. The more you're training and engaged with your installers, the less likely they are to go and work at another location. So Julian is really saving the day with me, and I want to give you a big shout out, Julian. Thank you so much. And he says they try to hold informal information sessions on a regular basis for installers, designers, and general contractors once a month. Wow, that's really fantastic. They go over new products, maintenance issues, and the install techniques. And then he says, as an installer for 29 years, inspector and store managers, he wants to be the guy that the people come to solve their problems. Bravo, bravo. So you are speaking my language, and I'm really trying to make sure that everybody understands these kind of trainings and interactions used to be nice things to do. But right now, when we are in a crisis mode and we are trying to connect to this new generation of installers, their requirements are quite different. We want to attack this audience by talking about what a great place it is to work, talking about work conditions. And what I mean by that is, hey, are we working on weekends? Are we working at night? What are those scheduling issues? If you are making your own schedule, a lot of folks in this space like to work fewer days, but longer hours. A lot of them like to know that they can take off a certain amount of time, at different periods during the year. And so these are the kind of conversations and connectivity that is critical to make sure that your people are working hard for you and that they don't leave you and go somewhere else. So great job to Julian there. Thank you for that engagement. And I'm just going to keep on going here. You can see this is Dean again, and I share this picture because on that very hot day, he fired up the grill and fed the team. And we heard more or equal on how enthused people were with the lunch cooked by their leader there, as we did the great skills that they were learning that day. So whatever it takes to really make it an engaging time for folks. We're also talking about the power of social media, and we're showing, and I saw, Chris, I talked to you a little bit about seeing these classes, these education day sessions featured on LinkedIn and on social media, but we are showing where our trainings are going to be. We're showing pictures, video, so that people can start getting a flavor for exactly what's going to happen. There's no questions about what the experience is going to be. They are seeing people on the ground, seeing people with the hands-on, being able to practice the skills, and the social media is really spreading the message for us in a way that we weren't able to do as much prior to sort of this social media boom. And then as part of our installation excellence umbrella, I talked to you about some of the training sessions we're doing, the bread and butter. I talked to you about the recruiting that we're doing for our membership. I want to talk to you a little bit about Installation Excellence University. And so we have a university, our online university, which is best in class. It's award-winning, and we provide sales training and leadership training and business consulting, succession planning, you name it. And we had a lot of installation information on our university. But what did we hear? We heard that in a space where there are subs, not everybody is an employee, that getting onto our university was a little bit difficult. And so this winter, we are having a standalone online university just for the installation population, the installer population, and they will be able to access a university, whether they are an employee of the business or rather they're a sub. So we're really, really pleased with how this is going. And so you can kind of see our homepage here. We do on location with installation. This is a space where we can really show real installers kind of how they're troubleshooting, all their successes, some great photos, pictures, etc. We're doing our vendor spotlights, but then we have a whole series of sessions on professionalism, how to show up at a client's home or at a big job, pre-installation checklist, post-installation checklist, all of these things that an installer should know, and a certification process so that every year you can share with your partners and your customers, especially, that the people who work for you have been trained and certified. And so this is really a fantastic way forward. We do this for the other audiences in our business as well, like designers and sales pros, and now for installers. I'm going to open it up for some questions here. I did see one other thing in the chat, and I'm seeing, is it Julian again? Oh, Julian is just the best. It says, we did a lunch and learn session where we bring in the vendor rep or have a technical session. Has to be done 30 minutes and was open to every single person in the community. I want to applaud you for that, Julian, and I would really encourage everyone on the line or who's listening to this as a recording to take an hour with your team and ask your team, what do you guys need? What is working really well for you right now? If you could ask the genie for 3 wishes around making your job better, what would they be? You'd be shocked at how little is required to improve a person's work experience dramatically. And with this population, re-recruiting them and showing value and showing appreciation is as critical as finding great people, finding the new generation, and paying them well. It's a combination of things. It isn't one thing. You could pay the most and treat people the poorest, and you're not going to get success. You could treat people really great, but not pay them well. They're not going to stick around. It's that magic when you're treating them great and showing them appreciation and paying them a competitive wage. It's going to keep them with you and growing with you. We do all of these things for multiple divisions in our membership, and really from a mom and pop shop with 2 to 3 people to folks that have big, huge commercial jobs. We provide the guidance, we provide consultation, we provide Q&A around avoiding or overcoming claims. And crazy things that happen with installation, we have experts on hand. It's like they have seen everything, and so no matter where you are on a job, if a question comes up, we do provide that support for the installation population, and our membership has just been really, really thrilled with it. And all of those things are under the umbrella of installation excellence, because we believe that that is what makes us better than our competition, because we pay such close attention to how well our installs go and how well our installers are treated. So are there any questions for what we're doing, or any questions in general around the training and recruiting of your installer population? Going to give it a minute there, Chris, for any questions to pop into the chat. One thing I will share with all of you is, as you're thinking about recruiting into this space, and we're saying, what is the way for the future around installation? I want to strongly recommend that you think about a different approach. Think about non-traditional audiences? Where are you getting people? Where are you telling the story about what kind of job being an installer can be? And, I make a joke and I say, um, we've been so focused on going to the university, going to college. You say, oh, my prom date is going to XYZ college. And, my little joke was, well, no one says, my prom date is going to be an installer. Well, that conversation has changed. Now it's like, hey, my prom date is going to own their own business in the next 3 years because they've already got a job and training in the installation space. And the person who's training them, they were an installer, but now they own their own business, which is worth several $1,000,000. And so these are the kind of shifts that we have to have in our conversation so that we can attract this new generation of folks. I have a question here. It says, how do you combat recruitment when the closest training involves significant travel and expense? Oh, that's a great question. One of the ways that we are combating it is by bringing the training to your location. And so we just had, and Chris, maybe you want to speak about this really quickly because I know you were talking about it earlier. We just had a 1-week session in Red Deer, and we brought the training right to those people. The other thing is we are very helpful in letting our members do in-house training and in-house apprenticeships right there with the experienced installer and then with a helper. We write curriculum for them. We write training for them that they can then implement right in their location. So we're very helpful with that. And so I often say you may have to make a larger investment, but make some small investments to see how your person is responding. And if they're responding really great, then go ahead and make a larger investment in them. And that's the way to do it. And also in the recruiting process, you've got to talk about what the 1, 3, and 5-year plan is. If we're just talking about a job, then the person's going to treat it like a job. But when you're recruiting and having the conversation and you're telling a person what the next few years is going to look like, that is the kind of conversation that's going to bring a person to you that wants a career, that wants to grow with you, and does not want to just hop from job to job.
I've spoken with a few large manufacturers, and they are prepared, some of them are prepared to fly their trainer to your shop. If you have the facility, the small warehouse out the back, and you're prepared to provide 8 people, they don't want too many and they don't want too few. I think 8 was kind of the magic number. Then you can take advantage of that product training, and that training is excellent. I think this industry has a tendency to shy away from training because we can't suddenly churn out, ticketed journeymen having gone through 6,000 hours of training and whatnot. Just because we can't do that overnight doesn't mean to say we shouldn't just try and train where we can.
Yeah, Chris, this idea that doing nothing is going to solve. I always say to people, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. But you don't eat an elephant if you don't take a bite out at all. You know what I mean? It's such a big problem. People shy away from it. But if you don't take one bite out, nothing will get done. I want people who are listening in right now to take an hour and assess their business. Who do I have on my team? Are they aging out? What is their skill gaps? What are their skill wins? How can I match people up together? And what is the strategy for the next 3 to 5 years? And then take small steps over the course of several months and years to match what your plans are and your hopes are with what your gaps are, so that you don't have to do things all at once, but that you are getting things done in a strategic way. And that's really what we've laid out for our membership, rather it be recruiting the younger generation, then recruiting real actual installers. So you want to educate people about what the jobs are, but then you want to recruit real people. And then once you get them on your team, you have got to train them. These installers are artists. What they're capable of doing in some of these jobs is not like anybody can do. You know, they have a very particular skill set. And when you are training them and keeping them up to date, they're going to create business opportunities for you that are going to add to the bottom line. And that's really what it's all about. So I put this QR code up for people who'd like to connect. You can just take a quick picture of that. I love to stay connected with people who are in the industry, and certainly hear what you're doing, or if you have any questions about what we're doing and anything about CCA Global Partners, whether it be Flooring Canada or Carpet One Floor and Home, I'm certainly open to answering any of those questions.
Tremendous, Nicole. Great information.